Greetings from Chicagoland. This is Munira, the CEO and founder of Kismet Ventures. I am here with Elizabeth Clammons.
Yes, that's right.
Hi, Elizabeth. Thank you so much for your time. I am on the prowl for looking out for people who are adding value to people. I do this because I feel that the community, a long time ago, kids were being brought up by communities. It was raised by a village. And these days we don't have a village. Even if we live in a village, we don't have one because everybody wants to be private and not share. And so the gap is being filled by people who are adding value to other people. And it's in different ways that they are doing this. Some are giving advice, some are coaching, some are teaching, some are just helping others. Well, my guest here, Elizabeth, thank you again for being here. But she's here from North Carolina. And hi, Elizabeth, and thank you for being here. Tell me what you do, how you do it, why you do it.
Well, I am a professional speaker, so I go around and speak anywhere I get an opportunity, really. I'm also an author. I have my first book coming out in November. I'm finishing up the edits now and sending it off to the publisher the end of this month, so I'm real excited about that. I just participated in a anthology collaboration book called Voices of the 21st Century. Got that all sent off and edited, so that'll be coming out in October. So I'm really excited about that, something I've wanted to do for a really long time. And I'm a naturopath by training, and I also do wellness coaching. So I do consulting and coaching with people who are dealing with illness or chronic illness, or if they want to just get healthy or be healthy. I help them make a strategy, make a plan and a program, and help them get started on their way towards living a healthier life.
So, wow. Thank you so much. So I appreciate the fact that you're an author and you have put your words into paper because I'm still working on mine. So that's an accomplishment. Thank you. But what about a naturopath? What's a naturopath?
A naturopath is a person who believes and practices in natural healing, like herbs and supplements, diet, exercise. I also recommend other type modalities of healing, like massage therapy, chiropractic, Reiki, all of the different natural healing. Really, a naturopath in the true essence is a teacher, and we teach natural healing. So healing from nature. And so that's what I do.
Okay. So do you know, are you a chiropractic by profession, or do you know how to do Reiki?
I have a master's degree in naturopathic medicine, so it kind of gives me an overview of all of those natural healing techniques. So I kind of have an overview. I don't do Reiki or chiropractic. I recommend those if I feel like they're going to help someone. Mostly the modalities I work in are herbs and supplements and teas and tinctures and things like that for healing the body.
So what kind of diseases have, so many questions now that what kind of diseases have you had most successes with?
I have clients that we've dealt with everything from chronic illnesses like lupus and autoimmune illnesses, fibromyalgia. I work with a lot of women who have chronic illness and chronic fatigue, a lot of autoimmune illnesses, and a lot of those are rooted in traumas. And sometimes they don't even realize that the trauma was the start of that illness. So we go back and we work through their story and figuring out the traumas and then healing those traumas and working on healing the body, mind, spirit, and soul. And then I also work with people who have diabetes. I have a gentleman on the Air Force Base here that I've been able to help him go from being on 3 diabetes medications and high blood pressure medications to losing 40 pounds and exercising, eating right, and taking supplements. And now he's off of all of his medications, and we've reversed his diabetes and his high blood pressure. So I work with everybody from just about anything, migraines, from dry eyes, from allergic reactions, just about everything a naturopath can help you work through with natural means and natural health.
So you said you have a master's degree. So
Yes.
how did you get on this path?
I started out interested in natural medicine being on the farm. I grew up on a soybean farm in Louisiana, and being with my grandmother and watching her use natural remedies and foods and different things to heal when I was little. Because, you know, you didn't run to the doctor every time you had a cold or if you had congestion. You know, we had Vicks Vapor Rub we put on, or she would put a pot of boiling water and you'd have to breathe in the steam and things like that we don't think about doing anymore. We just run to the drugstore and get a pill and think that's going to cure us, but it doesn't cure us. It usually just suppresses the symptoms and causes the problem to become bigger. So that kind of piqued my interest. And then my husband's in the military. So when we moved to Florida, I met a couple of ladies there that were very into natural healing and natural medicine. And that kind of got me reinterested. And I was wanting to go back to school. I'd finished my bachelor's degree in naturopathic, in holistic nutrition. And I wanted to go back to school, but I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do. And I found a program online that was that taught naturopathic medicine. And I thought, oh, that would be really interesting. So I started out in that program and I absolutely loved it and finished out my master's degree in that. And that was in 2005. And about 3 months after I finished my master's degree, we were in a car accident. And I was left disabled and bedridden from that car accident for 12 years. And I went through all of the surgeries and the shots and the pills and everything. And I finally decided after my last surgery in December of 2014, I decided I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. I was going into shock. I could not they could not get my pain under control. And I just had this moment of clarity when I went, you know what? I know what to do. I know how to heal the body, and I'm just not doing this anymore. I'm done. And I set out and made a plan to heal myself and to come back from that. And I did. It took me 2 years, but I am back on my feet, and I can stand and speak in front of an audience for an hour without being in pain, and I can run a business and do all the things that I always dreamed of doing. So it works. I am a living testament to natural healing works.
My hat's off to you.
Thank you very much.
Because, you know, I was bitten by a bee the other day, Saturday, and it shut down my whole eye. Saturday evening, Sunday morning, I couldn't do it. I was swollen. And so it was a mosquito. I don't know, some bug bit me. And so the whole thing, and me and mosquitoes don't get along very well because I'm too sweet and I think my blood is their food.
Me too. Me too. They think I'm a flower.
And so, you know, that one day sitting in bed, not opening my eyes, was something that I could not take. It was because there's so many people depending on me.
Right.
And so I don't know how you did 12 years.
It was very, very difficult, but I have a wonderful husband who is super supportive and helpful. And he had to just step up. He had to take over paying the bills and doing the grocery shopping and all of those things. I had a 16 and 18-year-old daughters at the time and an 11-year-old son. They're all grown now, but my kids just really, they rallied and they just picked up and did the chores and the housework, which unfortunately we have really good auto insurance. So our auto insurance, even though it was the other guys, it was a tractor trailer truck that caused the accident. And even though it was his fault, our insurance had to cover our injuries and expenses and everything. But our insurance company paid for me to have somebody come in and help clean my house. I was homeschooling my kids at the time, so they paid to have a tutor come and homeschool and do my homeschooling for my two younger kids. So I just had a lot of help, and everybody just really rallied and helped me. And I can see now, looking back, how much it's helped, how much it helped my husband step up and do the things that he never thought he could do. He never wanted to pay the bills or do any of that stuff or the grocery shopping, and he learned to do it. He had to. It's trial by fire. You have to. You know, when a man's down, the rest of the team's got to rally. So that's what we did, and I'm very fortunate to have the family I have.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so my question then is, so why did it take you 12 years?
Well, the injuries that I had were body altering, I guess you would say. I had a ruptured disc in my back at L5S1, and it damaged the sciatic nerves that go down the back of my legs. So for a couple of years, we tried chiropractic, we tried massage therapy, I tried acupuncture, I even tried injections, and nothing worked. So I had to go in and they had to do surgery. And when they lifted those discs up off of each other, those vertebrae off of each other, the disc was completely collapsed and the nerves were pinched. And the doctor told my husband within about 6 months, I probably would have been in a wheelchair for the rest of my life. I would have lost the use of my legs because of that injury. So that surgery was pretty horrific. They had to go in and put plates and screws and make those discs stay off of each other and off of the nerve. So that was a long recovery from that surgery. And then I damaged both my knees, hit the dashboard and the console and the door. So I had to have surgery to both my knees. I still have issues with my knees and early arthritis because of that. And I have damage to my two discs in my neck that caused my hands to go numb. So they wanted to do surgery on that, but after that back surgery, I was not willing to have them cut on me anymore after that. That was terrible. And I broke my sternum, and that is a really hard injury to come back from. So all of those injuries, my sternum break was not only a break, but it was an uneven break, and it didn't heal back correctly. So it took 18 months of physical therapy to get me from a wheelchair to walking on a cane. So it was just a really long, hard recovery. Just a lot of life-altering injuries.
Well, I hope you don't mind me asking about these, because the reason is like you just said, and I'm being a devil's advocate here because I have to be, I feel, because you just said that you helped this Air Force gentleman reverse his diabetes and high blood pressure, right? And there's a lot of people out there in the world who needs that reversed.
Yes.
Being one of them. So that's number one. But then you made a plan. So let's talk. I mean, I'm asking you this because, you know, people who are looking at this are going to say, why didn't she do it on herself? You know, so that's why I'm asking you. But I understand that the doctors had to come in and do some work. I mean, you can't expect everything to be done naturally. Sometimes you need help as well.
Right, exactly.
But so when you created and you shifted your mindset and said, no more surgeries, no more, you're not going to do this to me. I'm going to get better myself. Take me through that process. I mean, when did your mind shift change, and what kind of plans did you make, and how long that took you?
And the reason that it took me the 12 years is because the process of the pain was so great from the accident. I went from being a perfectly normal, healthy, running, riding bikes with my kids, hiking up mountains. We were a very active family, to just bam, I was still. And to tell you the severity of the accident, we were coming home from a camping trip, and we were in construction. We were going about 60 miles an hour, and a semi-truck stopped on the interstate in front of us. And he was empty, so he stopped just like that. And we hit him with, my husband stomped on the brakes, but we only slowed to about 50 miles an hour before we hit him. The camper hit us. our daughters were 16 and 18 driving in my husband's truck. They hit the camper and the camper hit us again. So we had 3 impacts. So I had 3 hits. I was the passenger. My seat was leaned back because I had been reading, and my son had asked me a question, so I had turned to answer him. So when we hit, my spine was turned completely. So it was a big impact. It was a big impact, and my husband, the car was crushed. My husband had to kick out the back window and pull my son and I out of the car. We couldn't even get out of the car. The doors wouldn't open. So he had to pull us out of the car, and I was in shock. So I went from being perfectly healthy and normal to the shock of tremendous pain. And the pain was, I was in the hospital for 5 days on the cardiac ward because of the broken sternum. They were afraid that my heart was damaged or my pericardium was ripped. So it was just a shock to my body, and then a shock through going through trying to get relief from the pain, getting back to being able to walk, which it was almost like when you see somebody that's injured or somebody that goes through a stroke and they have to relearn how to walk and everything. It was kind of a process like that for me to try to get back on my feet. So it took a long time, and I had been just the pain. I just can't even explain to anybody how horrific the pain was. And when you're in that much pain, you'll do anything to get out of that pain. It's just awful. And the doctors say, here, take this, you take it, or here, we'll do these shots, or we'll do this, or we'll do this, and you try it. And when I went in, I had to have an elective surgery in December of 2014. And I was, after the surgery, I was in just awful pain, and they could not control my pain, even with IVs. I blew 3 IVs. They had to come in and start my IV 3 times. They were giving me IV pain medication, shots. My husband refused to take me home because I was in so much pain. He's like, I'll just take her home and I'll have to call 911 and they'll bring her back, because if you can't control her pain, I can't. And I was going into shock, and I was just like, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to do this anymore. So when I got home, I decided first and foremost, I was getting off of all those medications. So I started, once I recovered from that surgery, I gave my body time to recover from that surgery. I started taking my prescriptions, and I cut down by half a pill. And I did that for 1 month. And I would mark on a calendar every day that I took, instead of taking 4 pain pills a day, I took 3.5. And then I cut by another half, and I took 3. And I started doing that. Then I started taking herbs that detoxified my body, that detoxified my liver, that detoxified my kidneys. And I started taking supplements that build my body up, like vitamins and minerals, and supplements that would help my body to heal and to recover. And I went all the way down to where I cut out all of the pain medication. It took about 6 months to get off of all the pain medication and all the shots and everything. And then once I did that, I started out, and people laugh at me, but when you start from 0, a 0.1 is an improvement. So I went from laying in the bed to, okay, I'm going to sit in the chair for 10 minutes. And then I'd go lay back down. And then then the next hour I would go sit in the chair, and I would do that every day. And I sat out and I made a plan where I checked off every day. And then I went from sitting in the chair for 10 minutes to 15 minutes. And then every hour I would increase it. Every few weeks I would increase the amount of time. And then I went to, I'll stand for 5 minutes. I'm not going to try to walk or ride a bike. And that's what a lot of people don't realize, is it's a process. It takes time, and your body takes time to heal and to recuperate. So you have to take little baby steps. You think about a baby doesn't start out running. Thank God they don't start out running. They pull up, they start scooting, and then they crawl, then they pull up. It's a practice. They have to keep practicing, and they practice until they get good at pulling up before they decide to take a step. So that's what you have to do. You have to just every day make a plan to take a baby step, and then you take a baby step. And when you get okay, I can sit here for 5 or 10 minutes without pain. I can up it to 15. And then I can stand for 5 minutes without pain. I can up it to 10. And I did the same thing when I started back exercising. I would get on my exercise bike and I'd just ride for 1 minute. If I could do 1 minute, that was an accomplishment. And I just slowly over time, and it took 2 more years, but I slowly got myself back up to where I could function and where I am today.
So I'm curious to say, what did your doctors say?
My doctors did not believe it. And when I told him that I was off of the medication, he said, I don't believe it. And I'm like, I don't want the prescription. I don't need it. I weaned myself off of it. And he said, you are one of the very, very few people who can do that. And I don't believe that. I believe if you change your mind and you decide and you determine that this is what I'm going to do, you set your mind to it, you can do it. And so the doctors just were completely amazed by the progress I made. And I started doing other things too. I started going to a massage therapist once every 2 weeks to help my muscles relax and help my body get rid of those toxins. I started going to see a chiropractor 3 times a week, every week. I started getting in a pool or a hot tub to let the muscles warm up and to move around in that warm water. So it's just all just incremental steps to getting to where I was, to getting to where I am today. And I'm still working on it. I'm still getting there. I still have about 40 pounds to lose from what I gained from being down for so long, but it's not all or nothing. And that's one thing I talk to people who are working on weight loss, and I work with a lot of people who are working on weight loss. It's not an all or nothing proposition. It's making a change little by little by little until it becomes a daily habit, until it becomes a routine, until it becomes something that's just second nature to you.
No, and that's true. You're right, because, so my question, you've gone through so much, thank you so much for sharing that. I'm very humbled that you shared.
I'm an open book.
But most people don't like to, share the intricate details, but you did it. So who told you that you could go to massage? I mean, how did that come? Is that from your education, or is that you were listening to somebody else? To go to a massage therapist, go to the hot pool, go get your muscles relaxed, go to the chiropractor. Was that therapy, all of the therapies that you mentioned, was that something that you directed yourself, or was that prescribed by somebody else?
That was part of my education, part of what I learned when I was studying for my master's degree, that you have to bring in different modalities to heal the body. And anything that helps to build the body up and helps to help the body detoxify, help the body strengthen, is all good. And so I learned all of that through my studies. And so I put a lot of that into practice to heal myself.
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense, because, I see and I hear people talk about these things, but they never implement, right?
Right.
They never implement. It's changing the mindset. And you had made your mind up. It's like, if I have to, whatever, come what may, I'm going to get off these meds.
Right.
You had a strategic plan where you had a calendar. So you had time mapped out, and then you took steps where you're going to take these steps to get off the pain medication.
Right. And I didn't set any hard, fast, concrete dates. I decided in December, and I told myself by June I have to be off of these medications. I knew it was going to take as long as it was going to take for my body to heal, but I was going to take a step every day towards healing, and that healing would come when the time was right. And so that's, I didn't set out and say, okay, I give myself X amount of time, because sometimes things happen. Here, May, a year ago, I fell on one of my knees, and I made it worse. And I have more trouble with that knee now. That set me back with my exercise and everything. And I kind of had to take a step back, let my knee heal, and then restart my exercise program almost from scratch. because my knee was really injured, and it took a long time for it to heal. My body heals very slowly. I don't know why. I'm just made that way. I just, if I hurt myself, it's going to take a while for my body to heal. And that's something I have to know about myself and I have to accept. And it helps to have somebody to guide you. And that's what I tell people about what I do. When people ask me, what exactly is it you do? I tell them, I'm like your GPS. You can get from the East Coast to the West Coast just driving. You can get there eventually, but you can use the GPS, and then the GPS can help give you directions, and you can get there faster. So what I do is I'm the GPS. I help you get from point A to point B, and I tell, okay, let's turn here, and then let's go here, and I'm kind of the guide. I kind of lead you along the way.
When did you decide to become a coach?
I wanted to be a coach from the time before I even started my naturopathic my naturopathic education. When I was studying nutrition, I worked as a speaker and a weight loss coach. And I did that for a weight loss, major weight loss company, international weight loss company. And I absolutely loved it. And then we moved, and there wasn't a position for me where we moved. And then so I decided I'm going to go back and pursue my degree, and went and got my degree. But I have had coaching. I have wanted to do coaching and speaking for probably 20 years. And I've done coaching and speaking for that long, just with that little gap in there of my little 12-year injury.
No, that's awesome, because you bring so much value, right? You bring value to the people in the sense that they understand that, you know, synthetic medication is not it's cut out to be.
Right.
And I'm beginning to believe it, because my husband, my ex-husband, my late husband, who passed away, and then my husband now, they're both diabetes. And, you know, my ex-husband had an amputation. So I was wondering, you know, I want to learn more. I'm going to call you after this, and we'll talk about the diabetes. But the thing is, you know, I've always learned, and I myself am a big proponent of natural medication. You know, I love Vicks. There's always going to be Vicks at home. There's going to be Vicks in my travel pack, and whatever. My kids know it. If they get stung by a bug or something, the Vicks will help.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the remedy of all things, you know.
Yes.
My kids say, that's all you know. And it's like, it works. You know, it works. So now they've decided, because with their children, they've decided to take it on.
Mm-hmm.
And now you see YouTube videos on those things as well. And then, you know, sugar is a clot factor. I don't know if you know this, but when you get cut in the kitchen, don't grab a Band-Aid, but use a turmeric powder, which we have abundance of at home, or sugar, because it will help you clot, you know, and not bleed you to death. So
Right.
that's something I use as well. Like, and you know, when you get burnt, you know, use the wheat flour that you have at home, because that's something, a staple in our kitchens.
Right.
You know, so things like that, it's like you have to use those things and make those things happen. I mean, for my makeup, you know, I use natural things. I don't always buy makeup, but I use natural things, and it works.
Yes, I know. I do the same exact thing. I do the same thing. And, you know, some of the best things, like for skin lotion, coconut oil is one of the absolute best moisturizers out there, and so healing for the skin. And,
Yeah.
you know, and it's, you know, and it's coconut oil. You just get coconut oil in the grocery store. You don't have to buy these expensive moisturizers.
So I laugh, because when I see the new trends come out right now, and I see that, you know, but when I was growing up, coconut oil was the end all item.
Mm-hmm.
I had long hair up to the calves of my feet when I was 7 years old, and I had long tresses. But my mother would have, you know, would apply the coconut oil in the hair so it would stay this thing. So it's an Indian thing where coconut oil always was at home.
Mm-hmm.
clove oil. You know, you always had clove oil at home. And we lived in Africa and grew up there, so clove oil was expensive, but it was readily available. And that was used for toothaches or something if you had a
Yes.
sprain or something, you know.
Yes.
So we use that, and the kids are now beginning to learn about it, and they use it too. So you get a occasional phone call about, what do I do when when a child has this, and I don't want to use medication. Can I use something natural?
Yes, I
And
get those calls all the time from my kids. Mom, this is going on. What do I need to do? And my son-in-law told me one time, he said, my grandfather said all that natural stuff, that was just all, a bunch of hooey, and it wasn't true. And so my daughter will call me and say, what do I need to give him for this? And she'll give it to him. And so I asked him a couple of years after they got married, I said, what do you have to say about it now? He said, nothing you told me hasn't worked. He won't say, yeah, it's good. My grandfather was wrong, but he says, everything you've told me's worked. I'm like, yeah, exactly.
acknowledgement, right?
Yes.
So I like what you said was that in anything, I mean, so taking back to not only natural medication, but everything that you do in life, you need to have a strategic plan and map it out. And yes, you're right that you don't have to have an end date to everything, but you also have to figure out that this is something you can adjust and keep adjusting to your thing till you get to your goal, and then readjust, right? Take a look and then readjust, because you may have to do that. So the thing is, but you have to have a strategy.
Right. Life happens and you have to adjust. Life just happens. Things happen. And you have to adjust. But you're right. You have to make a plan. And I tell people, make a plan, write the plan out, and then work the plan.
Yeah. And so have a strategic plan. And then it doesn't matter if you have to adjust it or readjust it again and again, but keep at it. Because there are times when people are going to say, this doesn't work. This doesn't work. I remember, I'm struggling with weight loss myself because I'm menopausal and
Me too. And it is hard.
so I spoke to my bodybuilder friend, who is Ron Williams, who is the 7-time Mr. Universe, and he's helping us. And so he said, let me just tell you something. It took you years to get here. Don't expect it to melt away yesterday. It's not.
Exactly.
It's going to take work. Yeah. So because, and he tells me, because Munira, because you are sitting there for a long time, don't expect it to melt away for a second. Work at it. Just keep working, and it's going to see results. And it's showing results. You can't be impatient. So I like what you're saying, because that's a strategic planning.
Right.
The other thing is that sometimes we have the knowledge, right? We have the knowledge, but you can't use it because, one, life happens, and two, you can't control what's happening in your life. So, but start somewhere. You start somewhere, make up your mind, and make up your mind to say, I'm going to do this and fix it.
Right, exactly. And just make up your mind to take that baby step,
Yes.
To scoop just a little bit every day. And eventually, you'll get there, but you got to take little baby. And that's the thing. People look at everything as, I got to get here right now. We live in a microwave society where we put it in the microwave and our dinner's ready like that. And life doesn't work like that. It's all about little steps.
Okay. I appreciate you. Really, I do. And I love the fact that you are teaching people this, the natural medications, what did you call it? The
naturopath.
The naturopath, because there's a lot to learn. There's so many herbs out there that need to be discovered. And maybe we'll find a cure for cancer. Who knows?
I believe that it is out there. We just need to be able to research it more and find it. I really do. I believe it.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For those people who are watching, for those people who can subscribe, like, share our video, I really appreciate it. and we'll have Elizabeth's information on the YouTube channel where you can go contact her for your issues. I have one more question before we go.
Okay.
Do you help with hot flashes and all of that stuff?
Yes, I can give you some herbs and things that you can order and take that will help with hot flashes.
Wonderful. So for the menopausal women like me out there, this is
and me.
Thank you so much. I will talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you. I enjoyed it.
Bye.
Bye-bye.